Hello again from Metro Manila, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the opening of the Berlin Wall, which happened on November the 9th, 1989. I'm going to do this series of videos about people who died trying to cross the Berlin Wall. At the very least, between 98 and 140 people died, probably even more, while 5,000 or more people, according to Wikipedia, were successful trying to defect to uh, West Berlin and via West Berlin to either to the rest of West Germany or to other uh, Western democracies. So the first person to be actually killed trying to flee across the wall into West Berlin was Ida Siekmann. I'm going to locate her Wikipedia article for information about her. Yeah, probably the German language Wikipedia is a more reliable guide here. But I'll go for the English language one first. So Ida Siekmann was born on August the 23rd, 1902 and died on August the 22nd, 1961, aged 58. She was an East German nurse who became the first known person to die at the Berlin Wall only 9 days after its construction began. She had been born in Gorken near Marienwerder, West Prussia in the German Empire, now Górki Kwidzyn County, Poland. She had moved to Berlin where she had worked as a nurse, and by 1961 or August 1961 she was already a widow. It is not known, however, when her husband had died. She lived at Bernauer Straße or Bernauer Street 48 in the district of Mitte or Middle and had a sister, Martha L., who lived only a few blocks away on Lorzingsstraße or Lorzingstraße. After World War II, Berlin was divided into four Allied sectors: in the west, the American, British, and French ones; in the east, the Soviet one. And while the street and the sidewalk of the Bernauer Straße lay in the French sector of West Berlin, the building's frontage on the southern side lay in the Soviet sector of East Berlin. Siekmann regularly crossed the border between the French and Soviet sectors just by leaving her house. Her sister at Lorzingstraße was located in the French sector of West Berlin. On August 13th, 1961, East Germany began to construct the Berlin Wall. Of course, the laborers were the ones who did the work, aided by soldiers. Immediately after the construction started, the border between East and West Berlin was closed. Numerous families and individuals from 50 Bernauer Straße addresses fled to the west. On August the 18th, 1961, the East German dictator, Mr. Walter Ulbricht, ordered the border troops to brick up the entrances and windows on the ground floor of the buildings on the southern side of the street. Members of the combat groups of the working class and Volkspolizei, or People's Police, controlled every person who tried to enter the houses, and the residents were subject to rigid controls even in the hallways. On August the 21st, the entrance and windows of Bernauer Straße 48 were being barred by the East German authorities. The following morning, the day before her 59th birthday, Siekmann threw a quilt and some possessions down onto the street in West Berlin before jumping out of the window of her fourth floor. by North American standards, third floor by German standards apartment. She jumped before the firefighters were able to properly open the jumping sheet and was severely injured when she fell on the pavement. She died while being rushed to the Lazarus Hospital shortly after the fall, thus becoming the first known casualty at the Berlin Wall. She was buried at the Seestraße Cemetery on August 29th, 1961. In September 1961, a memorial was erected at Bernauer Straße 48. The memorial was often visited by foreign politicians, including U.S. Attorney General and later Senator and presidential or aspiring presidential candidate Robert Kennedy, and the Greek Cypriot President Archbishop Makarios, to honor the Berlin Wall's victims. The houses on the southern side of Bernauer Straße were torn down in 1963, of course, to prevent further escape attempts in that section of the Berlin Wall, and that happened all throughout the wall. The houses were, in extreme cases, torn down and replaced by a concrete wall.